Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Write the Future podcast. I'm Beth Barany, an award-winning science fiction and fantasy writer, published writer. I'm also a writing teacher and creative entrepreneur trainer. This podcast loves to explore all things future, which is really about now. Little secret, it's really about now, but it's about what we can do now to make our futures better. And I am a positive, optimistic person overall, and I love talking with other people who are also looking towards building better futures for all of us. So I'm so excited to introduce to you today a local talent here in the San Francisco Bay Area, an educator. And yes, I love your hat. We're going to have you talk about that too. Khafre Jay, who runs a fabulous organization here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Hip Hop for the Future. Welcome so much, Khafre. I am really happy to have you here. You and I met on the street in my neighborhood, the best way, right? And I've been supporting artists, hip hop artists for a long time. And I was so happy to be able to support you guys and bring you on to hip hop, to How to Write the Future. So can you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, my name's Khafre Jay. I'm a hip hop organizer, angry black man from Hunters Point, San Francisco. A little forgotten about spot in the southeast side, but yeah, I'm just a man who's been trying to save my culture and empower my community for my entire adult life, and I've just been figuring out how. That's it.
Yeah, awesome. And for those of you listening, you want to tell us what's on your hat?
Yo, yeah, this is my Make Racist Afraid Again hat. I have a clothing line called Critical Race Threads. And, I don't really wear Nike signs or, too many labels, but I feel like not only do I want to know who's my friend first and foremost before I even waste my energy on them, but yeah, I also got some funny things to say so people just know where I'm coming from. I can make people think. I have a shirt that says, "Dear Police, I'm a white woman." And as a man who got beat up twice at gunpoint by the SFPD before I was 17 in San Francisco, messages like that I think are important, especially if they're framed in a way that doesn't create too much defensiveness. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think you had either a t-shirt or it was on your clipboard, something like white women come support us or something like that. Like if you're a white woman.
We're not going to make it about white women. White women have been a historical power node for America, for its movements, for its policies. So that's why you always catch me out in some random white neighborhood where people don't really look like me, calling people in and calling people out, of course.
Yeah, of course. And you do it with humor, with love, with music. And I love the name of your organization, Hip Hop for the Future. Can you tell us a little bit why you chose that name?
So everything comes through people's experiences. And my experience as a hip hop cultured person from San Francisco is told through gentrification. You know what I'm saying? And much like happened to the Fillmore, it's happening right now in terms of hip hop culture. And for those who don't know, hip hop is not rap. It is not. Hip hop is how I walk, talk, dress, paint, think, act, dance. It's something I can't take off. Like people know I'm talking hip hop. They know I look hip hop because I dress in our fashion style. We have an environment and an ecosystem hip hop is birthed from that necessitates certain entrepreneurial styles to access equity and capital. You know what I'm saying? So we have a whole culture. It has norms. It has rules. Culture has never really been commodified authentically. And especially when Black people who make up the majority of, hip hop cultural norms and rules, we have no wealth to dictate how white media has ever represented any facet of hip hop culture. And the most commodifiable part of that is hip hop, rap music specifically, right? So we've never dictated how blues looked on white media or how rock and roll did or how disco did or, how funk did or none of this. And I think people just think that hip hop is so on point and representing young Black culture and culture in these hoods. And it's a farce to me. So when I see Black people go from 13% of the population in the 80s when I was born to now about 5% of the population, but we make up 38.7% of the homeless in that gilded San Francisco city. And that's erasure. It is. And so in spots that we rapped at for 30 years in Oakland, they're doing karaoke 7 nights a week now, lights on for a different community now. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It is not a smart business model to bank on Black culture in the Bay Area. It doesn't work anymore. So in order for us to have access to our culture in its truest forms, because we'll talk Black people don't have any efficacy in any facet of culture in society except culture. You know what I'm saying? So any efficacy in any aspect of society except with our culture. So I'm just fighting to preserve spaces for that. That costs money. Money, for Black folks is a revolutionary thing for us to amass enough money or a strategy to create math that sustains a stable platform. So I'm happy we've done 70 weekly rap writing contests in Berkeley, broaching some of the most serious topics, and we're really close to expanding a second weekly rap writing contest in San Francisco if I can get a little help and not go so great doing it. And then San Jose needs some help too. So I'm really fighting to make sure we have hip hop for the future. I had my first show at Glen Park Rec Center. You know what I'm saying? At like a skateboard kind of hip hop kind of community event, but they don't do that anymore. Still doesn't even really have kids, let alone brown kids like me. So I have to be that leader that creates those spaces, and we've got to make the math work. And for me, that's been standing in really affluent neighborhoods, looking for people that care like you, what I'm saying, that can share resources, our platforms for social capital so we can get more resources, because really we just need places to shine. And that's what I do. I'm trying to make sure we have artists, the next generation, people who can get to an open mic for the first time and learn how to hold a microphone, you know what I'm saying? And see these older folks show what it means to be a MC. I'm trying to have a place where live graffiti artists can come and do live painting inside the cypher, and breakdancers can come and battle, you know what I'm saying? We need that. And if we don't have our griots and our culture bearers, we have nothing.
Yeah, I love that you're creating this in person, in local spaces, and I just love that so much. I feel like as humans, we're actually genetically predisposed to learn together, learn in groups, learn through song, learn through modeling our elders. So I really, really love that. I noticed in your mission statement recently that you're really focused in on health and wellness also. Can you say a bit about that?
Often when we talk about the future, we talk about hope. But my public health focus comes from a lack of hope, just to be quite honest with you. I was a hopeful activist. I did the largest environmental justice eco summits at the Presidio lawn with the Presidio Activators Council. I used to do a lot of environmental work, political work too. And I was really rooting for white folks. I was really rooting for them in the last election. So disappointed at the Dobbs decision. Not just at the Dobbs decision, but at the tepid response to the Dobbs decision. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a week before I started Hip Hop for the Future. I saw that protest at the Supreme Court, and it wasn't enough. It was really disheartening to see that few people and that few white women. I was like, oh no, Dobbs, white women who have the strongest political power are going to go crazy, and we're going to get some real change. And that, you know what I'm saying? And at that moment, I just realized that it's going to take a little while before I feel like organizing with other groups directly, are building strategies that rely on a mass of American voters to have the best interests of Black people at heart. So out of that, I decided to turn inward, as a lot of Black organizers have. And, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk to white folks. Of course not, because I think that means I'm just going to go towards individual grassroots means instead of organizing with big orgs that have strategies that are rooted in collective empathy. I don't think we're there yet. So I decided to go to public health, And Hunters Point, Black people are going through it. We got higher rates of cancer, not to mention the stress, traumas, the lack of access to care. And hip hop for me has always been the strongest organizing tool for my people. You know what I'm saying? Like, Black people might not want to go talk about colorectal cancer interviews, but if I get the rapper Yo-Yo from the 90s, who's big for people who are in that age group that need to get colon cancer tests right now, and I throw a fat hip hop show at the African American Arts and Culture Complex with break dancers from Pier 39, DJs, graffiti artists doing live graffiti, food, barbers, braiders, people doing hair, clothes, with the director of Freedom Forward, Francesca Gonzalez, who helped me create this idea of Drip Fest, dropping resources in place. And then we can get a whole bunch of Black folks there, comfortable, calm, appreciative, and then they're confronted with access to healthcare. We had Dr. Hobb, he's a dentist with Flossing for Smiles, right? Flossing is kind of looking good, as he was there taking care of people who hadn't talked to dentists recently. Emoja Health with Dr. Rhodes, she was there, helping people get vaccinations, COVID checks, and colorectal cancer interviews, things like that. This stuff is not hard when we're doing it in the framework of people that have the cultural practices and, in the root of their strategy. So I just thought that would be really cool, and building around that. Pretty soon I was doing, hip hop therapy 101 for therapists that want to integrate these methods authentically, and hip hop in general, having spaces rooted in affirmation like a cipher. And I know a lot of people, they see hip hop in a frame of corporate media where three companies own 90% of the means, but that's not what it looks like in community. You know what I'm saying? When somebody's rapping for the first time around all these vets, and these vets are like, yeah, go, you got it, keep going, don't worry, just keep going, keep going. It's such a supportive place. And that right there is one of the most healing places, most affirming places. And that ecosystem that we're building of these artists and coming together and these community members, it's something that we don't really have. So I think that's essential. Public health is a cultural community zone, the middle, you know what I'm saying? The center of the community. I'm trying to build that around hip hop. And it's just public health is the way to go. It's the only thing that I have hope for is my ability to bring health directly to people. Because I don't really have faith in everything else right now. I'll check back in the midterms if we still have a country. So, yeah.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. The power of the young hip hop artists going up and holding the mic for the first time, the power of just coming together. I really see this is so beautiful what you're doing. And can you tell us a little bit more about, what that's like for you to create these events and I don't know, anything that you're working on?
I think the best way to talk about the power of live performances, that's best viewed through the work I've been doing with the San Francisco Pregnancy Village, away from my mother's house, Bayview YMCA, which is in Hunters Point, not Bayview. They're not the same. I hate how people put them together. It sounds like gentrification to me. But yeah, I was doing Drip Fest, and I got to connect with the people working on the SF Pregnancy Village. For listeners who don't know how bad the situation is for Black people here in the United States, all the stuff we're talking about currently with ICE, like we've been dealing with this type of authoritarianism, this type of lack of access to body autonomy rights and whatnot for so long. And Black women die 3 to 4 times more giving birth in Bay Area hospitals and in the United States, just because of sheer apathy. When Black women are dealing with things like preeclampsia and they say, I'm feeling pain, they're looked at as drug seeking more often instead of, hey, this lady might have some horrible thing going on. Or they're told to wait. They're told to sit down and be patient, and they're forgotten about. That is the sheer, root of that is that callousness, that apathy that Black women's suffering gets historically in this country. And there's lots of orgs that want to help. There's lots of them, but I want to help women. I really do. When I taught hip hop and I created this women's empowerment workshop, but I didn't want to ever teach that. And I didn't want to just create it and be like, here, teach this, because it has to, good intentions, feel me? But I think a lot of these organizations that want to help, there's not a lot of people like me in the decision-making rooms, you know what I'm saying? So when we get these interventions out, they're not always the most successful. That's why DPH here walked up to me. They're like, yo, do you teach about hip hop therapy? Because they have the resources, they have the degrees, they have all that stuff. But what they don't have is the trust. And that's historic. And so they needed help from somebody like me. You know what I'm saying? The Pregnancy Village, Malini, she is a nurse. She works delivering babies and she helps us to set up this stuff. She said she saw my website. She was like, this is what we need. I don't deliver no babies, you know what I'm saying? I don't do prenatal care. I don't do lactation coaching. All right. I don't do anything like that. But what I do is make Black people very comfortable. And I create spaces that are healing in and of themselves. And that kind of culture can be a catalyst to organize marginalized people around any services. It doesn't matter, whether it's math, whether it's working with Parks Cal and getting kids rapping about the toxic Superfund site next to Hunters Point where I grew up, which is why people are glowing over there, But yeah, it's just been really cool to go there and bring DJs and bring, live graffiti artists like Laser One MCA or Buku One. And they're setting up big graffiti murals that say love on it. And little babies are painting and stuff like that. We're like, come on, kids, start graffitiing. And then DJ Lex, who's like this world-class DJ, historic in the Bay Area, he's bringing his turntables, letting kids scratch and things like that. And then we book 3 or 4 artists to rap and perform. And they make the village cry. And sometimes the village makes them cry too. I think a lot of times people don't know that rappers don't just want to rap at CD dive bars. You know what I'm saying? Our words are confined to settings that people are used to. And I think for me, a lot of my work was been giving opportunities to artists to get in environments that they're not used to, where they can see the power of the word. And then you get feedback from these women, these people who are just like going through, some of the most serious, moments of energy, time, emotion, and then seeing them dancing, you know what I'm saying? And seeing them, hear people rapping about pregnancy and beauty. I think It's one of the reasons why the village grows. It's one of the reasons why people come back happy. And yeah, I can add that to anything. So anybody need hip hop out there? You need a DJ for a birthday party? You want somebody to graffiti your infant's room with mad symbols or something like that? My job is just getting hip hop artists paid. Because as long as we pay our storytellers, then our future will be bright. If we do not pay our storytellers, then we're going to need supplemental, mostly white-led NGOs, or nonprofits with their galas and their charcuterie boards with whatever help they can have for Black people that, may or may not be impactful. You know what I'm saying? They're going to hire some of us. I've gone to a few of those galas. It's really cool. You know what I'm saying? They got great wine and cheeses. I don't, I love what Planned Parenthood does. I think that there are so many Black women that are rapping about those things that would create so much more impact on outcomes and health if they got a quarter of the marketing budget that Planned Parenthood had. It's just me. I think hip hop does that. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm sure we could keep going, but I'm going to wrap it up here. I have a surprise question, which is not so surprise. Yeah. So when you hear how to write the future, what do you think of? What does that make you think of?
I First off is trying to break off my chains. You know what I'm saying? I think trying to stop my impediments, my preconceived notions, to let myself flow, just flow. I think in order to think of the future, it's really hard. We have so much baggage and bias that this allows us to even think of the possibilities where technology might go, for example. You know what I'm saying? You look at Star Trek, the Next Generation now, and you're like, wow, we didn't even think that we might have stuff floating in midair, walking with us, holograms. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to be the Jules Verne of your time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I would just really focus on trying to be open, just clear-headed.
I love it. I love it so much. So how can people find out about you? Where do they go? What's the first stop? They can just get all your awesome stuff, support you, bring them into their organization. Yeah, where do they go?
I am not as important as my community. And so if I could ever ask for any support for anything, it would be for my life's work right now, which is hiphopforthefuture.org. We're really, really looking for long-term monthly support. Right now, we have about 350-ish monthly supporters that have allowed us to rock in Berkeley for 70 weeks, providing this beautiful platform. We've started people's careers. We've built an ecosystem, hopefully soon to build an economy around it. But we're really close to getting enough monthly support to open a Flow Lounge San Francisco, because San Francisco used to be a historic place for rap, and that's gone almost completely. And so we really need that support. After that, we'll be doing the same in San Jose, because tech has strangled people down there. And all kids have, if they have hip hop, it's that corporate, gangster, misogynistic, violent place that breeds unsafe conditions. We need your help for that down there. If you need DJs for a birthday party, break dancers, if you want team building, let me know. If you want somebody to graffiti your business atrium with company mission stuff, galas, let me know. Hip hop should be in every strategy meeting. If it's not, and you're working with people, even if you think it's not hood people, if you think all those white CEOs, they love rapping too, don't get it twisted. Yeah, I just want people to go hiphopforthefuture.org. You can always find me, Khafre Jay. Just type my name anywhere. I'm on everything. Check out my blog on LinkedIn, 22,000 person following, Unapologetic Black newsletter. Listen to me on KPOO San Francisco 89.5 every Sunday, playing 3-hour block of local Bay Area hip hop. Yeah, go to Critical Race Threads and dress like your mostly friendly neighborhood Black activist.
I love it. I love it. I could listen to you forever. All right. This is so awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest on How to Write the Future. I'm going to wrap it up. That's it for this week, everyone. Write long and prosper. Whoop. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, right?